Hello and welcome to today's edition of Political Voice. I am Sumto Ajama. Now, there is a lot happening in the political space in Nigeria, but we have two stories on our radar today. We'll begin with America International School of Abuja agrees to refund 1.1 billion naira to Kogi State. Plus, prominent Ijaw leader Clark accuses Damagum of taking instructions from FCT Minister Wike. And joining us right here in the studio to discuss these two subjects are Mr. Lawal Ekundayo, an educationist and a political analyst. And also we have Mr. Okweoluwa Taiwo, Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, Lagos State. But before we get right into the stories for today, let's take a global overview of happenings around the world. Millions of Indians began voting today in the second round of multi-phase national elections as Prime Minister Narendra Modi sought to galvanize voters with his assertive brand of Hindu nationalist politics. People lined up outside polling stations as voting opened up at 7 a.m. Turnout was expected to pick up as the day progressed. The outcome of today's votes will be crucial for Modi's Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party, as the 88 constituencies up for grabs across 13 states include some of its stronghold in states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Most polls predict a win for Modi and the BJP, which is up against the broad opposition alliance led by the Indian National Congress and powerful regional parties. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is running in Wayanad constituency in southern Kerala state for a second time after he was defeated in 2019 elections by Smriti Irani, a BJP leader, in the northern Indian city of Amethi, a traditional stronghold for the Nehru-Gandhi family. The head of Vietnam's parliament has resigned, making him the latest senior member of government to leave office amid an ongoing anti-corruption campaign that's shaken the country's political and business elites. The resignation of National Assembly Chair Vuong Dinh Hu adds a growing instability in the country. President Vo Van Thong resigned in March, just over a year after the previous president, Nguyen Xuan Phuc, resigned to take a political responsibility for corruption scandals during the pandemic. His resignation came days after his assistant, Pham Thai Ha, was arrested on charges of abusing his position and power for personal gain on April 21st. Initial reports did not say that he was implicated in corruption, but duly noted that investigators found the parliamentary leader had violated party regulations, and his violations have affected the reputation of the party, the state, and himself. Vietnam's Communist Party accepted what is called a voluntary resignation from Hu. The president of the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, Daniel Opon Kiemere, has urged political party leaders to refrain from politicizing education and focus on improving the welfare of Ghanaian students. Kiemere stated that if education issues were subjected to political maneuvering, Ghanaian students will be the ones to suffer the consequences of bad policies. Addressing the second edition of the NUGS Education Conference in Accra, Kiemere highlighted the importance of maintaining a non-partisan approach to education, especially with the 2024 elections on the horizon. He reiterated the need for politicians to include the youth in the policy-making process to ensure that decisions affecting the education sector are made with their interests in mind. Now we would go on a short break, and when we return, we will delve into today's topics of discussion.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city. The loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Welcome back to Political Voice. The American International School of Abuja has pledged to reimburse 1.1 billion naira to Kogi State stemming from the former Governor Yahaya Bello's children's school fees. This decision follows the confirmation that the erstwhile governor had indeed remitted $845,000 to the institution. In correspondence addressed to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the school expressed its commitment to returning $760,000 to the Kogi State Treasury. This action forms part of the ongoing investigation into Bello's purported money laundering activities. The EFCC had previously leveled allegations against the ex-governor, accusing him of embezzling $720,000 from Kogi State coffers to cover his children's educational expenses. Earlier this month, the anti-corruption agency mounted a siege on Bello's residence in Abuja, though their attempt to apprehend him proved futile. Subsequently, Bello was declared a wanted individual, with law enforcement withdrawing his security detail. Now, according to a letter dated October 24, 2022, the school informed the EFCC that the remaining $85,000 had been utilized for educational services rendered to the governor's children within a span of less than 1 year. Furthermore, the school verified that from September 7, 2021, up to the date of the aforementioned letter, a total of $845,852.84 had been disbursed in tuition and ancillary fees for 6 of the governor's children enrolled at the institution. Consequently, the school has formally requested the anti-graft agency to furnish them with an official written request, inclusive of the authentic banking details of the EFCC, to facilitate the refund process. In its communication, the school stated, "Please forward to us an official written request with the authentic banking details of the EFCC for the refund of the above-mentioned fund, as previously indicated as part of your investigation into the alleged money laundering activities by the Bello family." So we will discuss this right now with, of course, Mr. Lowell Ekundayo and Mr. Okwe in the studio here with us today. Now, this is especially important in the light of recent revelations, so to speak. And I would like us to just note some of these amounts, just to clear the record, or to state the record. The state EFCC is accusing him of embezzling $720,000 from Kogi State to cover his children's educational expenses, and the school has reimbursed 1.1 billion naira. I have to add that that's naira, not dollars. And according to the school, they're saying that from September 7, 2021 up to the date of the letter I mentioned earlier, A total of $845,852 had been disbursed for 6 of his children enrolled at the institution. Now, you would agree with me that a lot of times in times past, and even currently, there has been too many stories of money being embezzled and used for private matters. Now, don't you think that it's high time that the legislature in particular puts measures in place to be alerted or notified when public service officials spend public funds on private matters? I will direct this to you, Mr. Lowell Ekundaya.
Thank you very much. Like I always say, the main problem of this country is always the legislation. That's the law. The law seems to protect the aristocrats at the expense of the masses. Okay? For example, where is it hard that a governor is not sending his children, his children are not attending the schools in the state you are governing, where you budget money every year for education, and the children are not schooling. They are schooling internationally.
International
yes,
school.
When I say international, I mean international. For example, look at that lead British school. It's not the only one. We have so many of them. We have Turkish school, we have Lebanese school, so many of them. These international schools coming to establish in Nigeria, which is not a problem. I will now see that it is these aristocrats, such as the governors, ex-governors, presidents, children, ministers, that can have that. Yeah, you see them going to that school, where the masses cannot afford. I mean, if you look at the schools of the masses, they are below standard. Like last year, I went to a school in my area, last year, a public school, to assist them free of charge on some subjects. Key subjects, civic education, no teacher for it. And it's a key subject.
Absolutely.
It's a key subject and no teacher. At all. I had to come in. I went to the school that I want to assist. Don't bother about payment. There's no payment. And then I assisted them in biology too. That's cool. Look at something like that. And then we have reps for that school. In National Assembly, we have senator controlling that area. We have legislature, state legislature for that area. We have local government chairman. We have councillors. We have supervisory councillors on education in that area. And you look at the number, I've mentioned over 6. And yet, the schools are below standard and they don't care because the law does not mandate them that the moment you get a political post, there are some, before you get it, there are some things you need to do. For example, if you want to contest for councillorship, that I know, you are required to resign your appointment before you can pick a ticket. You get? But why not, if you can do that, why not do that for anybody who is a political office? The moment you get into the office, you are elected, automatically your children must be attending public schools in that area till you finish your tenure. You get? So, but because all of them are doing it, that is why nobody is going to stand up to say, no, this thing is wrong. We need to put a stop to it because all of them are doing it. All of them are doing it. And that is why what you see now. How can a governor that is leaving office decide his own pension? The number of houses he's going to get, he will be the one to write his pension out and submit to the legislative house of the state and they will approve. You will have a house in the state, a mansion in the state, you will have a mansion in Abuja, you will have 6 fleets of cars that they will be changing every 4 years. It's killing. By the time you calculate all that, is it different from what this man has done? to let you know that all of them, you get it, all of them are involved in things like this. Look at the past Edo State governor. Look at the pension he approved for himself, and almost all of them.
So I have to interrupt you now to ask that, do you say all of this to say that because the legislature or members of the legislature are also involved in doing the same exact things, they do not see the need to put in any form of measures, any form of checks and balances to stop people from spending public money on private matters because they do the same thing?
Yes. For example, look at this, even the health, when it comes to their health, when they want to go for health, what do I call it? Like health, you know what I mean?
Health checks.
Yes.
They'll go abroad.
They abroad. They never use, you never see them use the local
Health
hospitals, the health centers, health facilities they are provided for the masses. They fly abroad. You get it? Even up to the president. The former president, nobody knows the amount the president spent on health travels abroad for over like how many months? Up till now, it is not disclosed. Public fund. Is it public fund? If it's not public, if it is public fund, why is it not disclosed? If Biden is traveling, they will tell you that Biden is going on a medical checkup, and you never see him. He will never leave US and go to Britain for medical checkup. You will never leave US and go to Russia. You never see Russia. For them to do that, it will be very, that means there is no facility in that area at all. But here, it's not like, even when, look at the area of sports, you will never see them, you rarely see them go to watch Nigerians when they are playing international matches. You see other presidents, other leaders, ministers that control sports coming in to because they are involved with the people. Here you won't see them. They are somewhere else. Why? Because they are disconnected from the people. So the law to protect the masses against things like this, embezzlement, is not there. For example, the issue of the EFCC, you get it, mount a surveillance in the governor's house, and the governor left. He was picked by another governor out, and they were looking at him like, well, it's a governor, we can't do anything to him. Can you do that to somebody else? As a masses on just an ordinary person? So that they captured. If the government can go as far as Kenya to get somebody like Nnamdi Kanu in another country where they have their own protective law and everything, for you to use the power of the government to get somebody in another country and bring him to your country, you get to face law. Why then can you not do it to a governor that is in Nigeria with people can see him up and down?
Okay,
it's funny.
Let me take a moment to talk to Mr. Ope. This is not the first time we've heard about public officials siphoning public funds. There are so many different cases. Bello Matawale is one of them. Theodore Oji is one of them. That so many different cases from previous ex-governors that allegations were put out against them by the EFCC. But so far, it feels like we don't hear anything. So the public hears so and so person has been arrested. And then they probably hear so and so person has been arraigned. And then they probably hear that this person has a court date for so dates. But we never really hear that this person has been convicted or that they were prosecuted and they actually served the time, the jail time for this particular crimes.
Yes.
I mean, even when Gisani happened, that was in UK. The same thing with Ibori, that happened in the UK as well. None of that happened in the shores of Nigeria here. So my question basically is, do you think that this keeps happening? Do you think that this keeps happening and this sort of encourages the erring officials, people who are consistently doing this, to continue doing it? Because it looks like nothing is happening for the people who have even been previously caught. So what do you have to say about that? Now, of course, Yahaya Bello's case is the basis for which I'm saying this, but what do you think?
You know, Nigeria is a country of, let me say, it's a nation with so many countries inside one nation. All right, so, you know, coming from our background, of the military background, coming to the 1999, coming to the Fourth Republic, you must understand that there are fundamentals that evolve with every nation. And what are those fundamentals? Those fundamentals include our character, our behavioral pattern, our values, our orientation, our norms. What are the things that matter to us as a people? Those are the things, some of the conversation we must have, because law, what's the definition of law? Is what? The totality, the summary of culture, of value, of norm of a people. So when we are talking too much about law, the first thing that comes to my mind, or comes to the mind of an elite, is what is the foundation of our law? Our law, the foundation of our law is the military. The military gave us a paper called a constitution. And this constitution does not reflect our character, does not reflect our behavioral pattern as a people. And so, each time there are actions taking place, we move according to our value, not according to the constitution. And that is why there is always a challenge with the EFCC and the citizens, especially the government officials. What does it take for EFCC to arrest a man? Or what are the functions of EFCC? We talk about what? Coordinating financial activities of the country. We talk about what? Enforcing any misappropriation in and out of the courts. So what does that mean? The court, the law, has embedded, has given the power to EFCC, with or without the courts, to arrest, to enforce, and to what? Recover any financial crime on behalf of the government. All right. So the question is, where is the challenge coming from? Is it coming from Governor Yaya Bello, or the challenge is coming from EFCC? Who is Governor Yaya Bello? Governor Yaya Bello is an ordinary citizen. You know, each time I see those kind of argument here and there, you know, I only smile. There's nothing special about Governor Yaya Bello. He's an ordinary man like me. So, why is all this noise so loud about Yaya Bello? The question is, where was EFCC when those transactions were taking place? How did EFCC got to know about those transactions? And as at when did EFCC intervene in the financial transaction of Kogi State? Those are conversations we should have. I'm not too keen about, you know, going straight to the point. Yaya Bello is this, Yaya Bello is that. No, who is Yaya Bello? He's an ordinary citizen. He's a Nigerian like you and I. He has Nigerian passport, I have Nigerian passport. He has NIN, I have NIN. So what makes him so special? What we should be talking about, have we followed the process? Is EFCC justifiable in their action about Yaya Bello? Number one, it is not constitutional for EFCC to have laid siege at the corridor of Governor Yaya Bello. It is not constitutional.
So that was wrong.
That was wrong. That was legally wrong. There's nothing so special about him. What do? This man has embezzled more than 80 billion. How come we are just knowing about the 80 billion? Since when has the transaction taken place? Are you telling me that you just paid those thousands of dollars to American International School just 24 hours ago? The answer is no.
Absolutely not.
It was done in what? In batches. And so, who are the people involved in those transactions? Where is the BDC that he transferred the money to? Where is the nephew that he uses to what? To pay all those money to the school fees? How come the school is accepting such payments 5 years in advance? Something is wrong somewhere. This is a conversation we should be having. So my challenge is not too much about Yaya Bello. Because if we don't get it right, another governor in the west will continue to do the same. And don't be surprised, maybe another governor in the north is already siphonning 200 billion, and we are here making noise about just ordinary 80 billion. I'm sure you are surprised to hear that from me. Ordinary 80 billion.
That's exactly
I'm
my
very
point.
sure you are surprised.
That's my point.
A man that embezzled 80 billion is the same thing as a man that embezzled 2 million naira. There's nothing different. Forget the figure. Embezzlement is embezzlement. Corruption is corruption. Follow the due process. And what are the due process that we need to follow? What is the limitation of a state governor when it comes to financial transaction? Look at my governor, the former governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Raji Fashola. He was accused of spending more than 70 million on building a website. What's the response he said? He said, who signed the paper? Is he the one that signed the paper? The answer was no. So how come the governor is instructing such a payment to a private account? Something is wrong somewhere. Is governor supposed to be signing a check? If I work with the governor as an accountant, as a chartered accountant, I have what you call professional ethics of conduct. There is no way you can ask me to debit the account of state government with more than 500 million naira to a private account who is not in contractual agreement with the state. Okay. I will not do so. As a chartered accountant, as a professional, I will not do so. So these are some conversations we should have in. Okay. In all of this conversation, how many chartered accountants have been suspended? How many legal professional has been suspended? When we have those kind of conversation, believe me, there's no professional in any state house that will do the same maladministration or misappropriation, because this misappropriation was not carried out solely by Governor Yaya Bello. Why the cry about Yaya Bello? Who is Yaya Bello?
So I like how you mentioned that particular point, because in previous conversations, this has come up, that Yaya Bello seems to be the one person that the EFCC is focusing on. But truthfully, there were more than just this one person involved in the transaction, in the signing, in the divesting of these funds, and for it to have gotten to this point. So yes, a lot of questions need to be asked, and the EFCC definitely needs to speak to other people and even arrest other people aside just the governor himself. But I asked a specific question earlier about the fact that does it look like, because the EFCC seemingly does not follow through with convictions and jail time for each of these individuals from past and even present, does that seem to be an encourager, directly or indirectly, that leads to other people accepting that, oh, this can happen. If it happened before, it can happen again? I'm going to take 2 minutes of your time, Mr. Akudai, on that one.
See, that siege that was laid, let me just say something. That siege that was laid at Yaya Bello's house, that surveillance, not siege, surveillance. It's not surveillance.
Surveillance, that's a
much better. You are monitoring,
term.
not siege. Siege means you block the person totally. The reason was because they invited him, he didn't come. You get it? If the police have adequate evidence against you before they can invite you to come and clarify, if you clarify it, you go home. If you don't clarify it, they will hold you. But if you don't come for that invitation and they have enough evidence, they can do surveillance and arrest you. But
there was a particular group that came out to say that he was not invited by the EFCC, which is why the court order, which is why EFCC was in what's the word now? They did not follow the court order, basically.
See, is it within their constitutional right to do that jurisdiction? Are they empowered by law? Because you can man surveillance. As I am like this, anybody can man surveillance on me. It is not a crime. Surveillance is just to monitor you.
You're going and
coming. At a certain stage.
Okay.
You get it. So at a certain stage, it becomes, SS, and that is when you begin to say no, it is SS. But we are being monitored every now and then by the law enforcement agents. Police monitor everybody. Whatever you do, the CCTV camera they put here monitor you. Whatever. But if you are not a culprit, of course you will just go your way. Nobody will do anything to you.
Of course.
You get that is by the way. Then the second thing is that, like I said earlier on that better edu case I'm talking about, like I've said many times on Better Edu case, that we are making a mountain, like this is absolute everything. Remember, we solve this thing, we have solved the problem in Nigeria. And I told them, every ministry in Nigeria is equally a culprit like Better Edu. Because the moment you vote money into an office, that money must be used for certain things. And if eventually nothing comes out from that ministry, there must be accountability. What did you use that money for that we don't see it? For example, in the Ministry of Agriculture, which I normally talk about most of the time, by now, Nigeria is supposed to be flooded with food. If I'm supposed not to be crying for food at all, because of the amount of, finance that has gone into that ministry, and until now, nothing is, really, it's not showing. So if you look at that, if you go into that, you may recover as much as $1 trillion or more from that ministry. You get what I'm saying? So, but like I said earlier on, the purpose of the lawmakers, you get it, is to see the workability of each law, to see whether this law, we need to continue to use it, or whether we need to amend it, or whether we need to repeal it totally. That is their duty. You get it? Not a constituency project they chase all over the place. That is the work of the executive.
I really wish we had more time to discuss the issues of the legislation that you just raised, because there is a lot to unpack there. There's a lot, Mr. Okpa already agrees, there's a lot to unpack there. But let's quickly move on, for the sake of time, to our next story. Elder statesman Chief Edwin Clark has penned an open letter to the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Ambassador Umar Ililia Damagum, calling for his resignation. Clark, a prominent figure in the Ijaw community, has accused Damagum of being under the influence of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. He contends that Damagum's actions are indicative of Wike's control over the party. The former Federal Commissioner for Information labeled last week's National Executive Committee meeting of the PDP as a sham, providing evidence of Wike's dominance within the party. The call for Damagum's resignation comes amidst growing tensions within the PDP leadership as various factions vie for control and influence within the party. Now, it's not news that a lot of people have said Wike has a lot of power in this current administration, directly again or indirectly. And I'm quoting not verbatim, but just echoes of what people have said here and there. But do you agree with what has been said by Chief Edwin Clark, that the PDP acting chairman is working and taking instructions from the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike? I'm asking you. Okay,
thank you. If
I want Mr. Okpa to also comment on this, so very quickly.
Okay, if the head, if something is happening under the watch of a head, and the head is not taking adequate measures to curb that thing, of course, everybody will blame the head. That is what is going on now. Because Wike has been very excessive, starting from the Fubara case, accepting appointment from the opposition, creating some kind of obstacle for proper what do we call this? For PDP to actually act as a proper opposition. You get it? Because after all, your person is working with them now.
Yes.
After all, your person is there. So now, for him now to come into the party and then flex his muzzle, and the chairman did not do anything. I thought it set up some committees. Nothing came out of it. So of course they would say that maybe is either the chairman is incapable, the chairman is afraid of him, or he has the chairman in his pocket. And that's why Clark is coming out now to say that it's like you are the one that is compromising. So you need to step aside to let somebody else come on board and take care of this a prick in the flesh. You get it?
Talking about stepping aside, Chief Edwin Clark's recommendation is for Ililia Damagum to resign because he thinks that he's basically working along with the instructions of Wiki. Do you think, Mr. Rufai, that resignation might be the solution here? If this indeed has any basis, do you think resignation might be the solution? Won't he just be replaced with somebody else? Or will this present an opportunity to put in the right person if this even happens, if the resignation as acting chairman happens?
For the People's Democratic Party, the IU has been removed. So we now have the vice chairman now taking over as the acting national chairman, which there is nothing wrong with that. And he who pays the what? The piper. The piper. Does what? Dictates the tune. Where was Atiku when Governor Wike was funding the party? Where was Edwin Clark when Wike was sponsoring Governor Obaseki of Edo State to win the PDP ticket and to also become the governor of Edo State for the second time? Where were all these people crying foul? Atiku will come after losing the election. The young man, in quotes, will retire to his Dubai home and neglect the entire PDP structure in the country. And after 4 years, in quote, the young man will return again with his normal dollars and come back and distribute some dollars, and he will get the ticket of the party. Is that how to run a party? Here is a man who sat down. When last did you hear that Governor Wike traveled to anywhere? That's how to build a structure. He has built a structure for himself. He has built a name. He has built a brand for himself. Whether it's in opposition or not.
Exactly.
He has built a name for himself within his party. You might not like him. Okay. Take it or leave it.
He does. He
has built a name for himself within the party. And he has built a structure for himself within the party. I may not like him as a person. You may not like him. Doesn't matter. That's sentiment. What matters is that he has... Politics is a game. Politics is a business. I mean serious business. Politics is not a sentiment. You can imagine somebody that was supposed to be the flag bearer of the party. Later on, he accepted that he will become the vice presidential candidate. And what happened? One way or the other, Atiku played him out of the game. And after he played him out of the game, you were still expecting such a man to be footing the bill of the party. The answer is no. Okay. So, along the way, through his media prowess, he blew out the power of Atiku out of line. And now Atiku is crying here and they're looking for a mega party, which he might not found. So, for Wike, he's doing his job well in his party. For the acting national chairman, he cannot resign. Whoever is controlling him, that's sentiment. He cannot resign. Because what he is doing right now is constitutional, according to the party. There must not be a vacuum in the government, in every government.
Absolutely, which is why he's currently filling that position.
The chairman is gone. Then the vice chairman will take over as acting national chairman, pending the what? The national convention of that party. And that's what he's doing. So I'm surprised at the elder statesman, a man whom I respected so much, Edwin Clark. I'm surprised at his sentiment and his position that the acting national chairman of PDP should resign. For me, it's not acceptable.
I'll take that as your last words. What are your last words, Mr. Ekundayo, on this particular story?
See, Nigeria here, our mentality when it comes to politics is that nothing goes for nothing. I don't know why our mentality is like that. If you fund a party, doesn't necessarily mean you control the party. You get it? Some people may have brain, you may have money, you are contributing what you have. And somebody who has brain is going to contribute his brain. You get it? Doesn't mean because you have money, that means you have brain. You may have money, you may not have brain. Somebody may not have money, may have a brain. So you let the person who has brain to run the organization, while you who have money, you fund, and everybody is happy. You get it?
Thank you. Thank you so much. We do not have much time left, and this is all we can take on today's episode of Political Voice. Now, I do have to say that I've enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure that there's more that you want to say, but due to the constraints of time, we will stop here for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Lowell Ekundayo, who is an educationist and a political analyst. And of course,
Thank
to
you.
Mr. Okuliwa Taiwo, thank you so much today. Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, Lagos, Nigeria, also a political analyst. This is it today on Political Voice. I am Sumto Ajama. Thank you very much.